Good morning, everyone. Hello and welcome to the European Communications Customer Experience Seminar. For those that haven't met, my name's Marc Smith and I'm the editor of European Communications. You should have an agenda in front of you, but I will just quickly run through that so you're aware. In a moment, I will run through some findings from our annual Customer Experience Survey to kind of set the scene for today. Then Adrian Bashnunga from EMY will take us through the challenges that are facing operators in the customer experience field. We then have a talk from DeMello about the customer care differentiation from Conrad Simpson. We'll then take a quick coffee and networking break, after which Rodney from Truephone will take us through a bit of a case study about the Truephone approach to customer experience. And I'll talk about a little bit of that after the break. Then Peter from Hybris will talk a little bit more about the omni-channel experience with regards to customer experience, a really sort of key area moving forwards. And we'll finish up with a panel discussion where all the speakers will be up on stage. There's a chance for everybody to ask their questions and get some feedback on some of the thoughts from the seminar. So that is how we are going to do today. So as I said, I will kick off with some key findings really from our survey. This is the third year that we have done a customer experience survey, and I thought I'd just really kind of bring out, as I said, some of the really sort of the key findings. And I've compared them really just with sort of last year for the purposes of today. But one of the key questions is, how would you say customer experience is treated at your company? So this is the operator responses. And I think the sort of thing to take away from here is if you sort of treat this as a value chain in terms of the answers. So as a separate, distinct discipline, then moving up towards as integral to certain parts of the company but not others, and then finally to as an integral part of everything we do across all our business units. So a couple of key things to take away this year. The number who are saying it's an integral part of everything we do across all business units is up by quite a significant margin. From 40% last year to 57.8% this year. The number who treat it just as separate, distinct discipline, gone right down just to 3%. That's from 30% last year. So I think what we're really seeing is they're making some really kind of key progress here, operators. Undoubtedly, there's still a problem. They are still in a silo mentality. So it's taken away 39%. It's still in kind of certain bits, but not others. But nevertheless, we're seeing a real kind of movement up the value chain towards that ideal goal, which is as an integral part of everything that we do. So I think that's probably saying that they're moving in the right direction, but again, still work to be done. But we're seeing consistently over the last 3 years that they're moving towards this. It's an integral part of everything we do, which is absolutely key factor. Another obviously key important area is cost. Investment is really going up year on year. We've seen this. So in 2014, 73% said the investment in customer experience in their operator is increasing. 25% staying the same, and just 1.6 say it's decreasing, so negligible really. And I just thought I'd maybe pick out a couple of key news points from just the last few weeks. To demonstrate that, Tele2 in Sweden, for example, announced significant investment buying some of NSN's solution to link network performance with customer satisfaction via real-time analysis of right down to the base station layer. So that's an example, investment going into a customer experience product. And then even operators that are really kind of struggling, Vimpelcom, for example, have a terrible year in terms of their finances. Slash their dividends, profits are really, well, no profits, it's a loss. But nevertheless, they sort of really kind of focus on, they said there's 4 key areas that they're focusing on this year. Customer experience is one of them. So it's really kind of, it's at the top level now. They really realise that customer experience is absolutely key moving forward. So another question we ask is, regarding the biggest challenge the industry faces with regards to customer experience. So here, 2014, we've split the answers into what the operator's saying and what the rest of the telecoms industry says. Key takeaway here, cost. So for the last 2 years, the most important challenge that has been viewed has been matching customer expectations with the quality of services delivered. That has now been demoted all the way down to 4th place and it's been replaced by the costs associated with providing a best-in-class customer experience. So although investment is going in, they're really focusing on the actual costs. So that is, they see as the biggest challenge. And I think, and I was talking with Adrian when we were analysing these results, a real kind of key message there for the vendor community to take on board. I think another really interesting point is the OTT side of things. That is, again, we're seeing that go right down. 6.3% last year, and it was higher than that the year before. Now it's down to just 4.9% of the operators who think retaining customers in the face of competition from OTT players is a really big challenge. And I think there's a key reason for that, and that is the number of partnerships that we are now seeing operators sign with OTT players. It is a constant theme we've seen over the last 12 months. Every week there is some operator in Europe signing a deal with an OTT player and to partner with. So whether that's a messaging thing like WhatsApp and Skype, or whether it's through to like content players as well. I think there's a real there's a real shift happened there, that they are partnering now with them and they don't see them as big a threat maybe as they thought they would do. But nevertheless, key takeaway, cost of providing a best-in-class customer experience is the key challenge that the operator community sees. So on today, the real kind of theme of today is around personalization. We think that's a very important part of the customer experience moving forward. So before I just go through this particular slide, one of the other questions we ask is what operators regard as the most important lever in providing a best-in-class customer experience. Providing higher personalization has consistently decreased as an important reason in the view of operators, which we think is a mistake. It's gone down consistently over the last 3 years, and it's down to just 13% this year. The flip side of that is that when we asked how important is personalisation, 64% said it is essential. So there's a clear kind of dichotomy here. They say it's really important, and yet at the same time, when they view it in terms of a wider range of factors, they say it's not the most important. So why is that? Well, here's the question we ask. How well are you able to personalise the customer experience within your organisation according to specific customer segments? And I think if you look down the bottom, 18% say they're unable to do this but would like to, and a further 5% say they're just simply unable to do this. So I think there is a problem there in terms of, I think that there's a significant minority that do want to do some personalisation but are just simply either unaware, unable, or not sure how to do it. So I think that's a kind of quite an interesting point. Nevertheless, 35.7% are able to do this and do it infrequently. So again, a little bit like that customer experience, the overall view. They can do it in certain areas, but not across the board yet, so there's still some work to do. 33%, so a third, able to do this and actively do so across a wide range of areas. And again, negligible amount say they just simply don't do this or don't plan to. But personalisation is something that we're going to come and talk about through some of these presentations today, so I think that's a good sort of point to view. Other new questions that we asked this year, obviously 2013 was one of the major takeoff years for 4G LTE in Europe. Huge number of launches and deployments. So we said, to what extent has the launch of 4G LTE changed the type of customer experience you offer or how you offer it? So clearly it has had an effect. 7% had said that it's completely changed the way that they do customer experience. 37% it's slightly changed the way we do. Just 22% saying it's not changed the way that we do. So as I said, clearly has an effect, and absolutely right that it should do so. Many kind of statistics we could sort of talk about here, but I think a key one, particularly for as we're in London, in the UK, EE is the most kind of experienced now 4G operator, about 18 months into their deployment, and they've put out a few kind of surveys about what their customers, 4G customers, are doing. I think one of the key ones is 3G, it was all about web browsing. 4G, it's about shopping, it's about watching films, it's about watching TV. It's doing much more interactive things on your mobile phone as a result of 4G networks. And again, I think this kind of comes back to the idea of personalization. If you are able to offer customers something based on their usage around whether it's shopping stuff, what it's looking at, then I think you're going to really kind of, you're going to push your brand forward and, give customers a lot more about what they want. And I think 4G absolutely key to that. Another key area as we move on up towards this kind of omni-channel idea of providing a customer experience that's consistent across all different touch points is customer care issues on social media. This is again something that we hadn't asked before, and some interesting stats here. I think really it just points to the fact this is kind of quite an emerging area, and there is no real consensus on how to do this. But I think the two big ones in the middle there really point to sort of different approaches. So 49%, so nearly half, let the social media team that handles all their social media handle customer care queries. So that's social teams. But 35% separate customer care issues from social media, and they give the problems that arise on social media over to their call center agents, for example, to resolve the issues. So two different approaches there, kind of quite interesting. Is there one that works? I think that's possibly a bit too early to say. But I know that some of these issues are going to be touched upon in the presentations this morning. So an interesting one, I think, to discuss. But I think point there again, this is an emerging area, and there's no consensus really on how to do this correctly. So finally, differentiation. I think the key point again is operators, they're really kind of searching for some differentiation. So we asked, when it comes to providing a differentiated customer experience, do you feel that what you offer is sufficiently different to that of your competitors? Perhaps no surprise that the operators are saying yes, it is. But again, it's really increasing year on year. So last year it was 48%, so less than half. This year it's nearly up to 2/3, 64%. Well, we could probably debate that, and certainly we've got Rodney from Truvo in here who can maybe talk about how they're approaching it. It's probably, again, one that's sort of still up there to sort of talk about it. I'm not sure there's any kind of consensus really on whether that's true or not true. Everyone has their own personal experience on that. I certainly have mine, but I won't go into that right now. But operators certainly believe that they have a differentiation. I would say there's still a question mark over that. So those are the findings of our first survey. If you have your magazines in front of you where we have the full kind of results in there and an analysis, if you want to go away a slide date and have a look at those.